Shalom, we're going to be learning Zohar and Matok Midvash, which is the Kabbalah book of splendor with the commentary of Sweeter Than Honey. So it starts in the creation of the world. God said, "Let there be lights." So the question is, what is this light? It's obviously not just a physical light that God created. God created a spiritual, unbelievable light that if you just would see it, you'd be able to see everywhere in the world with your physical eyes in one glance, and all the worlds, the highest worlds down to the lowest worlds, and you'd be able to see everything. And God created this light, but then he hid this light and saved it for the future, to be revealed in the future for the righteous people. So again, the question is why? Why is this hidden? Why couldn't we just see this great light? And the Zohar says that this is because there are unworthy people that, would just misuse it, do bad things, and they don't deserve this light. Um, but even more so, they would never feel the need to repent because this light is just so good. It heals everything, it makes everything work out okay. They never would have felt anything is missing, and they wouldn't have actually repented and changed their ways. So, therefore, he created the light, but then hid it and saved it for the future. And what we have now is a little bit of this light. It's what's needed for the world to keep on going. And it's not just a physical light that is needed to keep the world going, but also a spiritual light. So you get a few glimpses of this light here in this world where you can see, all around the world and the higher worlds and the lower worlds. But it's hidden and you have to search for it. And to search to see this great light, you find it in places like the Zohar, where it's teaching you about, how God created the world and all the higher worlds. And those are glimpses of this light. And this is what we're trying to learn in the Book of Splendor, the Book of Zohar in the Kabbalah. And this is a translation and an explanation, which is called Sweeter Than Honey. And that's a good name because it really is. And it explains. So, first of all, we're going to explain the idea of the lights they're called spheres. And the way the world was created, there was just one great light. But then to make a physical world, and even to make the spiritual worlds, it breaks down into like colors or different types of light. So we have these the spheres. We have like the wisdom, which is like the father, right? We have the understanding, which is like the mother. We have dots, which is it's like knowing, but a connecting kind of knowing. And then you have strength. You have before strength you have loving kindness, and then you have strength, and then you have beauty. After that is victory, and then splendor, then foundation, and then kingdom. So these are the 10 Sefirot. There's also a sphere of crown. That's like above. That would be before father, mother, and then we'll go more into the different ways that these sphirot, these lights, can be arranged into a face. So almost similar to like the face of a person, right? You have the eyes, you have the mouth, right? So these spheres, these lights can be arranged like to a face. And there's different ways of arranging them. Sometimes we just deal with the bottom 7, which are the more of the emotions and actions. The first 3 are the mind, and then we have the emotions, and then below that you have more like the actions. So there's different ways to arrange the sphirot, and this is a little bit what we're talking about. And the Matok Midrash starts off the Zohar, and he's teaching about these lights. God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. So from these words, it could have been God said, "Let there be light," and so it was. But by repeating the words, and there was light, so we learn something from that. And we learn that there was already light beforehand that God created previously, but it wasn't arranged properly. It wasn't set up like in a face. So later on, in the book of in the Chumash, in the Torah, it says that there were kings that ruled in the land of Edom before a Jewish king ruled. And these kings died. They ruled and they died. And it lists their names, right? And it's not quite understood why it's talking about this in this context when God created the world, right? And then it's talking about these kings that died. So according to the Kabbalah, these kings, what it's talking about is true. There were actual kings that lived and died, and there were 7 of them that died, it says. And spiritually, what it means is these were worlds of light that before this actual world was created, there were worlds that were created and destroyed, spiritual worlds. That means they weren't completely the way it needed to be for us to be here, these spiritual worlds. So these were great lights, but then God took these lights that were broken, were sort of destroyed and broken and fell, and he picked them up and he planted them and fixed them in a way that this world actually can handle it and work with it. So these lights were just lights without being arranged in a face. And in order to arrange them in this sort of a way that can be seen in this world and be part of our world, so it had to be in a way of a father, a mother, pregnancy, right? And then giving birth to this world. So this is all talking about spiritual aspects, right? So these were sort of like seeds. They were like saplings, right? And so God basically picked up these lights, the lights of these 7 kings, which were these spiritual lights, picked them up, put them in the first way something is made real in this world is the first thought, the first thought is wisdom, and wisdom is the Father. Then it goes to understanding deeper. It's taken from Father, put into understanding is Bina, is mother. And then it's the secret of pregnancy. And then you can have a birth and you can have a complete fixed, it's grown, and it's a face that can live in this world. And that's the way God created this final world that we're in now, that is existing now. It was created from lights that he had created previously that weren't actually formed into a real physical world that we have now. And it says a light, or Zarul Tzaddik, a light is planted for a righteous person, right? And this is talking about the lights of these 7 kings that were planted. We were planted in a way that it's a fixed way. So please join us. We're going to be learning more. God willing, every single day we'll have another short video. And we'll explore these worlds, understanding how God created the world, how God created all the spiritual worlds, and getting glimpses of this light to see all the worlds of light that are actually before us, and we just need to have the light and see it.